Hi everyone, this is Mervin Matthew. Welcome to SoundCanva. Today we are going to start a new series of videos in which we'll be explaining about chords or even harmonies, and it is named as chord anatomy. As you guys know, in music there are mainly three main elements like the melody, rhythm, and harmony. In most cases, people will be more focused on the melodic aspects or even the rhythmic aspects. So, in most cases, harmony or even the chords are much underrated in terms of music. Or you can say it like it's much more complicated for a person to understand it because it happens in multiple dimensions. So, through these videos, I think I will try to explain the basics of harmony in a much more comprehensive way so that you'll get a very clear idea about how the harmony works in music. So, the first concept which you guys really have to know is the concept of intervals. In music, intervals has got a certain meaning to it. Intervals, when you simply say it, it can be the distances between multiple notes. So if you take a melody and you have certain notes in that melody, if you find the distances between each and every notes in that melody, you will understand that each and every intervals has got a peculiar nature to it, and it is really unique. And we choose certain intervals for the uniqueness of that intervals, and it can really benefit our melody or even the harmonic aspects. In music, intervals are divided into two, like the melodic intervals and the harmonic intervals. The melodic intervals moves in a linear fashion, so that if you have a melody with you, when you see the notes which is used to create that sort of melody, then you will understand that it happens in a linear fashion. It moves from one note to other and to the other and so on. And a melody is being created like that, and each and every intervals we choose to create that melody will have some sort of uniqueness or some sort of feel which it can offer actually. So that is a melodic interval. In case of a harmonic interval, the notes are not happening in a linear fashion. It happens in a parallel fashion, so that the notes which we choose as part of harmony is being played as a whole, and the collective sound is being recognized as a harmonic flavor, or even it is considered as a chord actually. So you have this melodic interval and a harmonic interval to work with. Melodic interval often refers to the melody of a tune or whatever, and the harmonic interval refers to the chords or even the harmony of that particular music. Let's move on to the intervals which we have in music, so that if you know these intervals, it can be really easy for you to construct the chords and to understand chords in a much more comprehensive way. So the most basic interval is a unison interval. That is the first interval which you really have to know. Unison interval means, as the name implies, uni means single, son means sound, or single sound actually. So if you take a note, say for example C, and you play the same note along with that. Probably in case of a keyboard, it's impossible to do that because we only have one key. We cannot play multiple notes on the same key. Next, after that, we have second intervals. Second means if you take the root note as C, you count it as one. And the second intervals means there are two second intervals, like the D and D flat. Or D flat, in other words, you call it as C sharp also. But here for easiness, we will say it like D and D flat. So you have a bigger second and a smaller second. The bigger second is when you consider the tonic as C, you get the bigger second as D and the smaller second as D flat. So this is called as major second and the minor second. So you get other two intervals also, unison, major second and minor second. Then you have two thirds, the major third and minor third. C to E is the major third interval, and C to E flat is the minor third interval. So you have 2 seconds and 2 thirds. Then after that, you have a perfect fourth. You don't call the fourth as a major fourth and a minor fourth. You name it as a perfect fourth. There is a reason behind that. I'm not trying to explain it right now because it becomes much more difficult for you to understand all these concepts together. So try to understand that it is not named like the second or even like the third. It is called as a perfect fourth. So if you take the tonic as C, F is the perfect fourth in that. Then you have the augmented fourth or diminished fifth. Then you have the perfect fifth. So it is the G. In this case, when you take C as a tonic, you get G as the perfect fifth. So right now you have unison, minor second, major second, minor third, major third, perfect fourth, augmented fourth, and you get the perfect fifth. Then you have two sixths, like the major sixth and minor sixth, or you can think about it like the bigger sixth and the smaller sixth. So if you take the C as tonic, you get A as the sixth note. You get the A flat as the minor sixth. Then you have two seventh, the major seventh, and the minor seventh, and you have this octave. So intervals are actually not limited to an octave. It goes beyond that. So let's see some of the extended intervals. If you take the C as a tonic, so you get the top octave Z here. Then you have the ninth note. It is similar to the second. It is the D. So if you play the C and an octave above D, you get the ninth interval between that. This is the ninth interval. And we have two ninth intervals, the natural ninth and the flat ninth interval. Then we have the 10th interval, but it is similar to the third, so we don't actually say it as a 10th interval, but we do consider the 11th interval. It is similar to the fourth. When you span it to two octaves, it has a different feel to it. So we do consider the 11th interval. You have this 11th and the sharp 11th interval also. Then you have the 12th interval, but it is actually the fifth. So we don't consider it as a 12th interval. Then after that, we have this 13th interval. The normal natural 13th interval, and you have the flat 13th interval also. That's it. These are the intervals which you really have to focus on, and I really wanted you guys to sing it along and to play it in your musical instrument. Whatever the instrument, maybe you can get the real sort of idea about how it happens. And it's quite easy for you to play it on a keyboard, or if you don't have a keyboard, just install an app in your mobile and just play it along, so that if you can really understand the differences in its sound, then it becomes a really great thing when it comes to chord study. So please do that.